Just like all the other Republicans who keep losing, suing over uh, election fraud, Kari Lake has lost again, trying to overturn her election. This is pretty hilarious because she just keeps losing and losing and losing.
You mentioned Kari Lake. Speaking of, the former Republican Arizona gubernatorial candidate has lost again in court, trying to challenge her election defeat last November. More than 6 months later, a judge in Arizona's largest county has ruled Lake's team has failed to provide evidence that would prove their claims of misconduct relating to the county's signature verification procedures for early ballots.
The judges should just stop taking her case altogether and be like, yeah, it's been proven that your lawsuit is bogus and we don't care about it anymore.
Additionally, the judge found no evidence that alleged misconduct affected the election's outcome. This was Kari Lake's only remaining legal challenge to her election loss. It bounced around multiple courts, including Arizona's Supreme Court and an appeals court, before the Republican-appointed judge in Maricopa County ultimately dismissed it. Republican-appointed. Lake lost to Katie Hobbs by over 17,000 votes. A spokesperson for Lake has not responded to a request for comment.
Well, and Jonathan, when we talk about, again, these judges, you had 63 federal judges, and a lot of those Federalist Society judges, very conservative judges, telling Donald Trump there's no widespread conspiracy, there's no widespread voter fraud. The United States Supreme Court and the 3 justices that Donald Trump himself appointed said the same thing. Remember Donald Trump talking about my Supreme Court? No, that's not how America works.
It is funny that, yeah, a bunch of judges appointed by Trump has been against him on the election fraud. Same with like the Republican judges against Kari Lake. They all think, well, for the most part, all Republicans will work together to commit fraud. But in this situation, it's not working out for them.
And he doesn't understand. But you go out to Arizona and you look at the recounts out there. One Republican organization after another Republican organization after another Republican organization after another Republican judge, you name it, in Maricopa County, you had Republicans repeatedly recounting, rechecking. You had the ninja nerds, or whatever they're called, cyber dorks, whatever they're called. They went out and actually recounted it, and they actually added to Joe Biden's vote totals. The same's happening in the gubernatorial race. It's
Yeah, every time there's like an election recount, for like 2020 and the governors and stuff like that, uh, more and more votes are found for the Democratic side, and more it's being shown that the Republicans are the ones committing election fraud.
It's the Republicans have spoken, and the Republicans have said it's a fair race.
Yeah.
It's a fair race. Cyber ninjas. But cyber dorks works. But you're certainly right about Arizona. And this connects these two stories because this is a Republican Party that is still saddled with Donald Trump's false belief that he won in 2020, that he's propagating that lie. And that's why potential candidates are reluctant to jump out there, because they're going to have to answer those questions. And we are seeing finally some in the GOP presidential field say, look, President Biden won. Let's move forward. But Trump himself, who at least at this moment polls show is the heavy favorite, he simply won't do that. And that's why so many Republicans are anxious, because he refuses to talk about the future. He refuses to showcase his vision of what a second term might be. He's instead simply stuck in the past in litigating a failed race. And Kari Lake, who of course has still not conceded her defeat, who of course is still being dealt legal setback after legal setback, well, she's considering now a run for the Senate in Arizona, potentially giving the Republican Party yet another problematic candidate.